So thank you everyone for joining us today, and I'm really excited to welcome Janet Flynn and Phaedra. I'm afraid of your last name, so I'm going to let her do it because it could be in English or Greek. So um, I can't tell you how awesome it is to have such a organization available because there's not a lot of the financial world that really is jumping up and down to help those that may be in a more lower income. So this is a great group. So Janet is a financial empowerment professional, and I think just that title in and of itself is pretty great because most people think of money almost like hiding under the bed, and has worked in the financial planning world, has her CFP, MBA, and a certified fraud examiner. And Phaedra is just moving into a new position as manager of grant administration in the program delivery and integrations team, and previously was the person who oversaw the benefits wayfinder, which you're going to get a look at today. And she's in the process of earning her PMI certification in project management. So some very esteemed ladies, and I'm going to turn it over to them now. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Linda, for that nice introduction. And thank you, everyone, for joining Fedra and I today. The work that you do is so important, and we're hoping that what we're going to share with you today could be another tool in your toolbox to help, those folks that you're working with who may need to find, new sources of income or a reduction of expenses based on their new situation. So we're really thrilled and so happy to join you today. So a little the agenda for our session today is I will just tell you a little bit about Prosper Canada. Linda did a great job on our introduction, so we can skip that. Then we'll just jump right into two tools that we would like to introduce you to today that essentially are there to help people and organizations or folks who support people living on low income or in vulnerable populations or having a life transition to find benefits that they may not be aware of and make the process a lot easier for them, both in disability specific and also all other kinds of benefits. We'll tell you a little bit of context on why those tools were created. And then Federal will take you through a live walkthrough of the tools. And what we'll do is use a persona example to show you how easy it is to go through if a person's doing it by themselves, or if you're sitting down with them to help them, or a family member is going to help somebody. So you can see how that works. We'll also tell you a little bit of extra support that's available, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. And at the end, we have our contact information. And I believe Linda has the PDF of the presentation, which can be shared with you. And feel free to contact us for questions after the presentation. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat, or if it's an urgent question, please take yourself off mute, and we're happy to answer it as we go. So without further ado, just get a little bit into who Prosper Canada is, if you haven't heard of us, and what kind of work that we do. So we were founded back in '86, and what we are is a national charity, and we're dedicated to expanding economic opportunity for Canadians who are living on low incomes, living in poverty, and/or vulnerable populations. And we're considered Canada's leading financial empowerment champion. And what we do is we work with partners in all sectors. And really, we want to make sure that Canadians, regardless of what their income might be, have the same access as everybody to financial programs, to products, to services, really anything or any tools or advice that they need to build their financial well-being and, basically get that peace of mind that you can get by, having a good grasp of what your financial situation is. So we'll skip over the introductions, and I'll just take you through to the overview. So as mentioned, Fedra and I are very excited to introduce to you the two main tools that we have in our suite of tools, the Benefit Wayfinder and the Disability Benefit Compass. We'll describe what the goals of the tools are, what kind of benefits are in the tool, and essentially how you can use these tools to search for a disability or any other kind of benefits, and how you can share these with those that you are helping or supporting or working with, or refer them to them if it's not something that you would have the capacity to do. And then some tips for use. And then, of course, as I mentioned at the end, is our contact information. So why was the Benefit Wayfinder and the Disability Benefit Compass tools created? Well, three main reasons. Missed income, complex processes, and frontline need. And as you know, especially in the work that you're doing, there's like billions of dollars, which is hard to imagine, of benefits for low and moderate income Canadians that goes unclaimed every year. It's quite shocking. I think the number is like 1.7 billion. And there's many reasons why people don't, claim this. One of the main reasons is that they don't file their taxes, because a lot of the basic benefits that are available out there, you need to file your taxes, where it's automatically assessed, or it could be such that you have to do your taxes and then use that information in a separate application. So a lot of people, who are living on low income think, I don't really make much income. I don't need to file my taxes, but unfortunately, they're those people that these benefits were designed for, and they're missing out on that valuable income that can really make a difference. And also, during the pandemic, as we all know, a lot of people either lost their jobs or their income dropped significantly, and a lot of people haven't fully recovered from that period. So really, any kind of extra money they can find will definitely go a long way to help their situation. And then second, complex processes. So for any of you that has applied for any type of government benefit, or maybe you've helped somebody else apply, it's not exactly an easy process in a lot of cases. It can be very complex, especially the disability benefits, because they're very challenging and one of the most challenging types of benefits, because they have many steps to apply. You have to get medical practitioners to complete some of the forms. And what we found as we were developing, especially the Disability Benefit Compass tool, we worked with people who were living with a disability in co-design to create it. It was actually quite shocking how many of them had been living with what we would consider to be a very obvious disability and had never even heard of some of these benefits. It's just mind-boggling. So really, just not even being aware of what's there, in addition to how difficult it can be for someone to apply for them. And then finally, frontline need. There's such a high demand for people who are living on low income or living with a disability or having a life transition that's significantly changing their situation, to have help. So people need to have someone that they can sit down with, a one-on-one advocate, to help them assess what their situation is, and where do they go from here. And I know that you're more than aware of that, as a very vital need for someone. And just to give you a little tiny bit of background, which is kind of cool, is that the Benefit Wayfinder started way back as a paper-based tool, and it was actually originally created by the doctors at St. Mike's Hospital, University of Toronto, and Ontario College of Family Physicians. And they found that when they were working with some of the patients, it was quite obvious that they were living on very low income or in poverty, and they wanted to have a way to identify that and have that as part of a holistic wellness, if you will, of clients that were coming in or patients that were coming in. And then they worked with Prosper Canada to create an online version of it. And then over the many years of different piloting of the tool and different improvements based on those using it, it's the version that you're going to see today. So originally started in the healthcare field and is now essentially used across the board. So that's just a little bit of background on why these tools were created. So just a little bit about the Benefit Wayfinder before we get into the live demonstration. So this tool is, as we mentioned, to help people who are primarily living on low income or modest incomes, but really anybody can use it. It's not just restricted to those folks. but it's also for anyone who's having a change in their life situation, any kind of life transition that might be happening, which would, obviously for the folks that you're working with is a very major, one of the key transitions that can happen that comes with a lot of stress and a lot of changes in our financial situation. So we're hoping that this tool, will be helpful for those that you're working with. It's a very simple tool. It's very easy to use. It's written in plain language, and it's essentially can be used as a virtual guide. So even if you find that you yourselves may not want to be sitting working with someone to go through it, you can either refer it, or it can be for yourself just to become aware of what kind of benefits are out there. We found that a lot of the organizations that are using it say we use it actually to train new staff so they can get up to speed really quickly, just to become aware of what's out there and available for folks in terms of all the different types of benefits. It's a one-stop shop, so it's all in one spot. As you know, there's many government sites that have benefits, and the feedback that we got in fine-tuning this tool was that they found it very difficult to have to, if you don't know what you don't know, you're not really sure where to start, and then you're going to many different websites. So this is all in one spot. I think it's close to 400 benefits in this tool. And again, it can be used individually by people. It's very easy to use, or it could be used by those who are supporting or helping someone else. And we have the link there. So actually, I'll see if I can put it in the chat as well for you to take a peek at. So you might have heard that there's a government benefit finder as well, but this one has 4 different ways that you can search for benefits, whereas the government just has a questionnaire. And what we did find when we did a year-long study on the users of the tool was that 70% of the folks don't use the questionnaire. So if they're using just the government finder, they're pretty limited. We have the other ways that FEDRA is going to show you that you can search to make it super easy to find benefits. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take you through a persona, and Fedra is going to, as I described our persona Aisha and what her background is, Fedra is going to bring up the Benefit Wayfinder tool, and then I will respond as though I'm Aisha, and you'll see how easy it is to go through, either if it's a person doing it themselves or you helping somebody to find out, what kind of benefits are out there. So Aisha lives in Ontario. She's separated and she's in the process of getting a divorce. She's the mother of 2 young children. One of her children is considered legally blind, so living with a disability. She's a permanent resident of Canada, and she's currently employed part-time, but she's looking for full-time work because she anticipates once her divorce is finalized, she will be, in effect, a single mom. She's hoping to get spousal support, but she might need other income to supplement that. Right now, if you look at just her income as just herself, not including any spousal or child support, she's under $25,000 per year. And she's not up to date on filing her income taxes. And really her key worry is, how is she going to make ends meet once her divorce becomes final? Will she have enough to pay her rent, to pay her bills? And will she, if she does find a full-time position, she might have to get childcare, and what kind of, how's that gonna affect her finances? So I'm going to pass it over to Fedra. While Fedra's doing that, I'm going to see if I can put into the chat the link to the Benefit Wayfinder, and I'll pass it over to you, Fedra.
Thank you, Janet. I'm just going to do an overview of the ribbon and some of the features first before we get into the ways to search for benefits. So when you first get on the website, what will actually pop up first is a box that'll ask for what province you're in. It indicates, depending on the province you pick, different benefits will show up. So if you choose a different province or you accidentally pick the wrong province, you could always go to the corner here on the right-hand top of the screen and click which province you're looking for. For the sake of this, I'm just going to pick Ontario. You can also click on French and it'll take you to the French version of the website. Up here is a dashboard button, an option to browse all benefits, questionnaire, starting points, and home. So the starting points are just different levels of how to access different types of benefits. So for example, if you're caring for a child, it'll show you benefits that relate directly to that. Disability support, education costs, so it'll show me all those related benefits in my province, including federal options as well. There's also filing your taxes and a button if you're already receiving benefits, what other benefits you might be eligible for. And if you're not receiving benefits, it'll show you different types of eligibility. So the questionnaire, which we'll go through soon, is another option to figure out which benefits might be more applicable to your client. And for now, I'm just going to show you what the dashboard looks like. So normally when you put in either your questionnaire or your starting points, it'll give you a list of suggested benefits. You can also search here. If you click on our search, what it'll do is it'll show you a search button where you can search for different benefits if you know the name of the benefit that you're looking for. So if you'll notice on this side, on the left-hand side, there's a province or territory. If I click on these, it'll filter them depending on what province. And for us, if I only want to see the Ontario benefits, I click off of the federal and it'll just show me Ontario. If I just want to see the federal benefits across Canada, I just click on this. If I just want to see the BC ones, I can filter it this way. So if you look at these cards, it tells you the name, the province at the top, the amount, and how difficult the application is, and whether tax filing is required or not. I can also further filter them depending on whether I need to apply for it while filing my taxes, or if they don't require tax filing, or if I need to file my taxes and apply for it separately. So if there's benefits that don't need tax filing, they'll show up here. I can also filter by application difficulty, and there's various tags I can also filter through. This is just one quick way, or more robust way, actually, I should say, in terms of finding certain benefits via the filters. Okay, back to the home page. So when I go back to the home page, again, it gives me a quick guide. If I'm not sure where to start, I can use some of these cards that will help me. So for example, if I'm new to Canada, I click on this, and it'll show me some of the benefits related to that. These are also available in the starting points. It's just another visual guide to help people who might not notice the ribbon. There's also a introduction to the benefits, a quick YouTube video there that they can access. And there's also some learnings here. So for example, if I want to maximize what's around me, I can try these course modules. It's about a 20-minute read, and there's different modules that will help me go through. You can go through with the clients, and there's different ways. So for example, what benefits can help, and it gives you some different personas. Go back to the benefits here. So if I go into the questionnaire, and we're using the persona that Janet introduced to you. So these are the first questions that pop up. There's 13 questions. So Janet, being the persona, are you up to date on filing your taxes?
No, I haven't done any taxes. I didn't think I needed to.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
What is your citizenship or immigration status?
I'm a permanent resident of Canada.
Are you working? Where does your income come from? Please, I'll check all that apply.
Currently, I'm just employed part-time. I'm hoping to find full-time work soon.
So in this case, it's part-time. So in this case, because she's also looking for work, we wouldn't choose this because it would also show benefits that would indicate benefits that you apply for if you lost your job for like EI, for example. So we would just click employed part-time. How much money does everyone in your household together make in 1 year?
I'm going to tell you how much based on myself after my divorce. I don't know what kind of support I might be getting. So just for my part-time job, it's under 25,000.
Including yourself, how many people live in your home?
There's 3 in total.
Do you care for any children under 18 years of age?
Yes, I have 2 young daughters.
Are you or is anyone in your household living with a disability?
Yes, one of my children is legally blind.
Where do you live? Are you renting in social housing? You own your home or you don't have a place to live?
Right now I'm renting.
Are you pregnant or expecting a child?
No.
What is the length of your stay in Canada since the age of 18?
I think it's around, I'm at, I think 15 around now.
Are you, your parent, or your spouse a Canadian veteran?
No.
Do you have a parent or spouse who had lived in Canada and passed away?
No.
Okay, thank you, Janet. Once that's all reviewed, you'll see it'll show you all your answers and you can edit any of the ones. So you can go through it with your client to review that all the information is correct. I can make any edits by clicking on the edit buttons. Once I'm satisfied with the information, I click on submit and it says, great job. We found 43 recommended benefits for you. And then it separates them by tax filing. So there's 17 that don't require taxes to be filed, 16 that need tax filing and to be applied for separately, and 10 that you can apply to while you're filing your taxes. So this will now take me to the dashboard that I showed you, and it'll show me all my recommended benefits. There may be more depending on your status. So that's just the little box that pops up so you can go to the legal aid program to find out more. So here, it'll show me all the recommendations. And I can again filter them. I can also see any benefits that I might be receiving. So let's say I'm already receiving this one, so I can click on it and it'll go to my list of benefits I'm already, so I can track them. I can also, if I want to get rid of the ones in my card because I've already seen them, I can just click this, it'll go away. I can also add them by priority. So it'll tag them for me, so then I can filter them by priority or alphabetical, depending on what my needs are. I can save my session to the cloud. I can also clear my session. I can also download it as a PDF or print it out, so I can have a record of it. And how are we doing with time? Good.
I think we're good. And maybe as well, if you would like to show them, if you were to send the session through an email, that's another option.
So I'll send my session. So once I click on save my session, I can click onto the email. So in this case, I can just send it to me. And then I can also copy the URL if I need to, but you just send it through here. And there's also a feature, depending on if you want to add the benefits wayfinder to your website, but that has to do with if you're an agency portal. So it might not be applicable directly to you, but if you're working individually, but it's an option as well to use the URL directly so that you can have it on your website so they can go directly to the benefits wayfinder through there. And Shannon, am I missing anything?
No, but what you could do is just click on the agency portal in the top right, just because there are some training supports there that either might be of interest for yourselves, or they are things that can be downloaded by clients free of charge if you want to refer them to that. And then also that's where if you just go back to the agency portal, at the very bottom is where you'll see the share button. And if you click there, yeah, that's where you see, and you can, if you like, as Fedra mentioned, you could put it, if you have your own website or if you have an association website, that can be placed on there for people to go directly themselves. Thank you,
So I
Fedra.
can,
That
thank
difference.
you.
Oh, just the help button at the bottom, the little blue button on every page
Yeah. Um,
with the help organization.
so just to cap off on what Janet was saying, if I do decide to add it to my website, I can choose which option, which header I want. And then I just have to agree to the terms and conditions, and a list will pop up. Say agree, I can get the button, and then you would add the code into your website. So the IT department could add that in. And so on your website, this will show up so people can just click on directly and go in there. And it'll track the metrics to who's accessing the site and getting benefits. So for the help that you mentioned, if you click on that, if you need any additional help, we also have a tutorial with ASL. And here are the agencies in Ontario that offer free services. And this applies for other provinces as well. So the provinces that we know offer free services, you can go to the help here and we'll show you a list of them. So I'm gonna then switch to the disability benefits wayfinder, and I think we're gonna give you a quick overview while I set that up.
Yeah, so the Disability Benefit Compass is a companion tool to the Benefit Wayfinder. And how it came about was some of the larger organizations that work one-on-one and support people living with a disability were telling us that they have huge wait lists for people looking for one-on-one support. So we had a project, a 3-year project that we teamed up with Disability Alliance BC and Plan Institute in BC. And we had an evaluator, SRDC. And what we did was we co-designed with them as well as 56 people living with a disability in BC to develop the Disability Benefit Compass. And it originally was just for BC to see how it would go. And really what it is it's a deeper dive on key disability benefits that those who work regularly in this field were saying at a minimum, people need to know about these benefits. And it was actually, like I said, quite shocking to find out a lot of the folks didn't hear of some of them, which you would just think is obvious that people would know about these. So we worked with them to develop the tool, and then it was being so well received in BC that it was expanded out to include all provinces and territories in Canada. And that's the version that you see now. It was launched in November 2022. And to date, I think there's close to 200,000 folks have visited it. And also with the Benefit Wayfinder, since it was launched in January 2022, there's over 500,000 people in Canada that have visited. So I'm going to pass it back to you, Fedra, for the live demo.
Thank you, Janet. So just a quick overview again of the banners here. So on the top right-hand side, you'll see again the province. It's the same thing. Once you go into the website, it'll ask you for what province. This time I'll just pick BC. Also has the French version. And then there's also a light mode for accessibility. So if I want to change between dark and light mode, I have the option of doing that here. There's also a link to go back to the benefits wayfinder. And in this case, we also have a glossary because some terms, there's some terminology that people might not be familiar for, certain phrases that are used in some of the benefits. So we provide a glossary here. So if I click on it, I can search alphabetically. And then there's also a resources page. So for example, persons with disabilities designation BC, I can look at the different resources that are available. So for example, there's tip sheets, there's help sheets that I can access. Homepage takes me back to the homepage. There's a caption video, website instructions, depending on what your accessibility needs are. And there's a list of the 4 key benefits here, some important information. So for example, how to find a doctor, nurse practitioner who will work for you. There's some quick tips on here. Also gives you an overview of the amount you would get per month. And then once I click into this, what I'll show you is that you'll get a lot deeper information on there. There's also resources. So for example, I need help with my disability tax credit or my application is denied. It gives you options on how to go about next steps. So option 1, you would ask CRA for review. Option 2, file an objection. And option 3, reapply. So it gives you a step-by-step on what to do, since a lot of the disability benefits can be quite lengthy. And with many steps, there's a breakdown here that we provide for them. As for needing help, these are some of the organizations that you can reach out to that would help with that. So going back to the DIST homepage, there's the 4 key benefits here. I'm just going to go through one of them with you. So in all of these, including the benefits wayfinder, once you click onto one of the benefits, you'll see an overview, and then an important information tab here. And in this section, it'll give you a breakdown of all the different things that we'll go through. So there's an introduction, eligibility criteria, apply, what happens after you apply, facts and resources. So if I click on get started, gives me an introduction of important information, tells me the maximum disability amount and the maximum supplement, and the age requirements that are in it. So here's the benefit information. It just lets you know that the process can be lengthy, can take several months to do. So it's not something that you'll get immediately. And then some frequently asked questions. So I don't owe any income tax. Why should I apply for the disability tax credit certificate? And it outlines all the different reasons why you might want to apply. Who can I transfer the disability tax credit to? And it tells you who and what. Can I claim the disability tax credit for previous tax years? So you can request an adjustment for up to 10 years. And if you're not sure if you already have it, you can find out through CRA. And if you're receiving government benefits, sometimes people want to know whether it affects the other eligibility amounts. And so the quick answer is no, but it may actually open up other benefits you might be eligible for. So if I then go to eligibility here, it gives me an overview of what the requirements. So you must be disabled in at least one of these ways that are listed. And then you also need significantly restricted into more of the basic activities of daily living. So then I click on some of these external links and the government website will tell me what those actually are. And if I need life-sustaining therapy, it also click on the link. It also gives me an overview of what that is and the eligibility checklist. There's also a Q&A. So for example, how old do I have to be to get the disability tax credit? There is no age requirement. And additional tips that we, so for example, the back years I mentioned on the first page tells you how much you can get up to. So if I want to apply to this, there's multiple steps that we have to take. So it'll first ask you, so step 1, if I want to click on step 1, it says, do you have the form filled out and signed? I say no. The answer is no. Here's how you can fill out, find out ways to get a copy and fill out the form. And then it tells me how to fill out the form. So part A is the individual section. And then part B is the medical practitioner section. So here's the list of eligible people that can sign off on it, depending on what you are, what the disability is. And then there's also somewhere you can direct your doctor to practitioners for the digital application. So I continue page 2. So did you fill out part A of the form? And say yes. Did you ask a medical practitioner to fill out and certify part B? If I say no, it gives me again the information that I need on how to fill that out. As far as sometimes people ask how do you help the medical practitioner fill out this form? There's a disability tax credit tool that was created that can help your practitioner, guide your practitioner through the process that you can direct them to by, so you have to just agree to the terms of it, and then you go through the application with them, and it'll help them kind of understand how to fill out this form for you, because even medical practitioners sometimes have a hard time with these. And there's more resources for your medical practitioner. And a lot of people ask, do I have to pay a fee? Yes, fees are pretty common. They're typically between $100 to $200 for each form. So now I continue to step 4. It says, did you send in your form to the CRA? I can say yes. So once I complete all those steps and I submit everything, it's congratulations, you've ended your application process. And now what happens now after you apply? So it's kind of what to expect on this thing. So what to expect after I apply. So the CRA may ask follow-up questions, and they may send a letter asking for clarification directly to your medical practitioners if there's something on the form that they're not quite clear on. If you haven't heard back from them, you can check in with your medical practitioner, ask them if they received a letter from CRA. You can also call into CRA directly as well. Usually there's a wait time. So the wait time, current processing times, which are updated here. So as of general, it's about 8 weeks, but they could change depending on what's happening. How do I check the status of my application? I can review it on the CRA's page. Now this is what to do if the application is approved. It gives you how to claim the benefit, how to get help on doing taxes, and any other benefits that it might be eligible for here, and how to maintain the tax credit. So how to keep the information current, how to file the taxes, and how to reapply. However, if my application is denied, here are some of the options that I could look into. As I showed you earlier, you can ask CRA to review your application. You can file an objection. You can also reapply for the disability tax credit. If you need help with the denial, there's different organizations you can reach out to that can help you with that process. There's also, can go back to the facts, which is an overview of different questions that people might have. And again, there's resources. And similar to this, you can also click on the help menu here, and these are the main organizations that can help out with that. You can also, again, use the cards if there's some people are a little bit more visual and just need quick answers to things, and these little cards can help. So how can you help your medical practitioner complete the form? Takes you back to this app. You agree to the terms and conditions. If you need help, you can email or call them as well. But that's generally an overview of one of the disability tax credits that you can apply to and how to help your client go through the benefit to understand what they need to apply, what kind of resources they can reach out to, and what other benefits might be open if they applied and get the benefits to certain disability benefits. And that's pretty much on my end on that, the disability. Janet, did I miss anything?
No, that was great, Fedra. I'll just mention that when this was designed, we had a full accessibility review done by an organization that's solely what they do to make sure that this was fully accessible for anyone with any type of disability to use it. Yeah, I think you covered everything. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Fedra. So now we're going to go and just talk a little bit about, it's almost like a recap because I think we kind of covered it as we were speaking, but how to use these tools, and some of the main ways other organizations have used them. So I guess primary is using it for yourself, more just like almost like a little navigation folder, if you will, with all benefits in it. So if you yourself had heard about a benefit and you're working with a client, and you might not be sure if that's something that might be helpful for them to get if they're not aware of it, it can be just a resource for yourself to use to check up as an easy source to find out about the benefits. If you're working with staff members, if you have any staff, or if you're working within your association, you think this would be beneficial for others to have, that's something that could be passed on to them as well. It can also use it directly with clients. So I'm not sure if you would have the capacity to do this or not, but if you did, you can use it 2 ways. So obviously this tool is probably going to find benefits more likely for someone who has not filed their taxes yet. And you might have someone that says, yeah, I'm really up to date on filing my taxes. I already know all the benefits I'm entitled to. But It can be used as a benefits checkup in the case like that, where they've already filed their taxes, so that they can just feel confident that, yes, I am aware of all benefits that are out there, and I'm not missing anything. And I should mention that these tools are fully reviewed twice a year for currency. As you know, as some benefits are linked to the consumer price index, and they'll increase each year. So we do twice a year a full review to make any updates that have occurred in the benefits, or if some are no longer available, we get rid of them, or if there's new benefits, we add them. And I should mention that what we put in the benefit wayfinder and the disability benefit compass are strictly benefits that will increase somebody's income or reduce their expenses. We're actually piloting, because it's been something that's been asked a lot about, is municipal benefits. So we're going to be piloting with 2 municipalities in Ontario, one in Ontario and one in Alberta, and then see if we can start adding more of those type of benefits in there as well. But really, it's great as a benefit checkup. For those who haven't filed their taxes, it might even be almost a way, if you're not going to go through the tool in detail, you can just click on that button that Fedra showed you, which said, that benefits that require tax filing. And then you can see a list. And if the person has never filed their taxes or hasn't done it in recent years, they'll see that potentially there's all these benefits that they may be eligible for, but they're definitely not going to be eligible for since they haven't filed their taxes. So it might be a good sort of little, nudge to get people to file their taxes if they're sort of resistant to that. Although I'm not sure in the clients you work with, I would imagine they would be up to date on filing their taxes, but I guess I can't assume that. It can be part of a holistic money conversation. So as you're going through and creating, the looking at the person's full financial picture and their budgeting and their taxes, it could be another element to that conversation if you're not already doing it, or it could be a follow-on. So either you create a separate meeting afterwards that's just going to talk about benefits, or if that's not part of your capacity or what you would focus on, it's something that you could just use as hey, here's another tool that you could do on your own or with your family member who might together to take a look and just be sure that you're receiving all the benefits that you're entitled to. Within the meetings themselves, that point 4 there, I think I don't need to be, you guys could probably cover this one better than I could. So it's really more just the logistics of when you're meeting with someone one-on-one, to have that private space, which I'm sure all of you are well beyond my capacity here in terms of telling you this section, but really it's really just saying that it can be part of a fulsome conversation on money as part of the big picture. And let's see, I just wanted to show you on the next page, and I'll put it into the chat here. In addition to these tools, Prosper Canada has a slew of other tools that are all money and financial empowerment and financial wellness related, that are all, again, free to use by yourselves or your clients. So again, it's just something that you can refer your clients to if they're interested in. And some of the organizations we work with actually use it as homework for clients that they're meeting with one-on-one. They'll say, okay, we've gone over the budget and we want you to try it. And this is a really easy way on this website where people can go in and do step-by-step, create their own budget online. It's done very simple. So there's the My Money in Canada there at the bottom left. That was a tool that was actually designed with newcomers and settlement organizations. And then we rebranded it because it was being used by so many others besides newcomers that it's really for everybody. And it goes through step by step how someone can understand how money works in Canada, all the basics of, fraud prevention, creating a budget, setting savings goals, if you have debt, working with debt. So it covers the full end to end on that, as well as the benefit wayfinder there that you see. And then we also have some other tools that are specifically for people living with disability or family members that are living with a disability. We also have in the middle there, you'll see there that it's called Making the Most of Your Money. This is a more recent course that has been used or developed, I should say, that again is free to use, and it's super user-friendly for folks to go through and learn about all the key financial topics. So again, if you don't have time for that, or if you want to use it as homework for clients, it's a really great resource to refer them to. And I think that was everything that Fedra and I wanted to cover with you. So on that page there, you'll see that there's a dedicated email that goes directly to us, benefitwayfinder@prospercanada.org. And this can be, if you have any questions on the tools or suggestions, or, if you hear about a benefit and you don't see it, you can tell us and we'll look into it and add it. Also, if you know of organizations that you're working with that you perhaps refer clients to today, that you find that you think would be good for us to include in our help pages, we're always adding to the list of any organizations that will provide one-on-one support in any of the financial areas. I should note that everyone that we have on our page, mainly because we're working with nonprofits primarily, are organizations that do not charge any fee for their services. So just to note that. So if you are working with someone really on low income, and you would like to refer them on a particular thing, you can be assured that if they get the name from our website, they're not going to be charged for any help that they receive. And then finally, the last page just has our contact information as well with our general Prosper Canada website. We also have a lot of training online courses that our learning and training team created on access to benefits and other topics that you yourselves as professionals, some of them are accredited for continuing education points for some of the organizations. So you can check those out if you're of any interest. It's under that Prosper Canada online training URL. So I think, Linda, if anyone has any questions, I think we have time to still to answer.
Yeah, for sure. One of the questions I had right off the top, when you're talking about the various organizations, whereabouts on your website would we find those?
Yeah, so I don't know, Fedra, if you can bring that up, or I can bring it up. It's on the top menu, there's a help button in both the Benefit Wayfinder and the Disability Benefit Compass. And when you click that, you'll see the listing for each province and territory.
Okay.
So there it is there. So the help, and then when you scroll down, you'll see all the organizations that have identified themselves to us and have said, yes, Prosper Canada, put us on your website, and and it'll say there at the top what they specialize in. So some are different than others in what they cover,
Sure.
but the clients can take a look and see which one. And I should note that even though for example, you see their North York Community House, folks don't have to live in North York to call them. So because we don't have a full organization listing for every single area, a lot of these organizations say, we'll still answer questions even if the person's outside of our geographic sort of area. So they can kind of pick the one that's closest to them.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously anything that would be Ontario didn't matter if you're at the north, the south, or east, west, it'll still apply.
Yes, right.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Is there anyone who's on the call today currently using
it? Sharon raised her hand. Sharon, do you want to put your question out?
Yeah, and thank you. This is an amazing tool. Amazing. Just in terms of when do you actually update the tax information? I'm presuming it must be at the beginning of the year before tax season. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Fedra, did you want to answer that? Because you're the one running that one right now.
Thank you, Sharon. So right now we're actually going through the process of updating all of the benefits. Generally it's yearly, but we might change the process a bit as we go. But right now it's going through a whole change. So everything should be updated by the end of March. Okay,
that's good to know. Yeah, because sometimes we start tax returns before that. So at least I know that, that's, so if you've got, I have something to do with the transition house in in Victoria here. So would they be up on here, or they can just use it? So can I say to them, okay, here's this benefit calculator. It might help numerous women that go through transition house.
Yes, absolutely. So it's shareable to whoever you think uh,
Okay.
would 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 like to use it. Like I said, it's free to use and pretty well all of except for some of the courses on our Prosper Canada site. Everything there's lots of tools that can be downloaded. They can be downloaded all free of cost as well. But yes, please share it with anyone that you're working with that you think
Okay.
would find it useful for either themselves as an organization or staff and or the folks that they're working with.
One more question. Does it have specific benefits? Can you sort of say, okay, I want all the benefits for First Nations? Um, does it allow that, or you just have to pick and choose if you?
It'll be, I don't know, Fedra, if you want to show that again, but it's by starting point right now, which is kind of more like life transitions, if you will.
Yeah.
And but
Oh, there you go.
we do have Indigenous as one, and you'll see there's not too many Indigenous in there, and that's
Right.
actually a focus item. We have a project right now ongoing where we're focusing on getting more of the Indigenous benefits into this tool. So yeah, if you go in there now, you'll say, there's not many in there, but just know that that is a focus item for us this year and next to beef that up. But yes,
Amazing tool. Thank you so much. Really, really, really appreciate it.
yeah, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, I would certainly encourage any of you on the call that I know sometimes I've come across things that are a one-off with couples going through separation or divorce and didn't really know where to go and so if it's not there, maybe it can be part of initiatives that Prosper Canada takes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we get like if you have any suggestions as well or how, if you work with it or if you get any feedback from any other organizations you work with or clients, they said, hey, it would really be nice if it did this. Like please send that to us in that email that we have there because like I said, it's not static. We constantly evolving how we filter, how we, the benefit types that we're adding in there. Like I said, we are going to be very shortly. I think April is our target to have the first couple of municipal benefits in there. And we'll see what the kind of the feedback is on them, and then hopefully start expanding to more municipalities to get that as an additional sort of subset, if you will, of benefits.
Have municipalities had this in place and just it was a secret, or is it a new initiative that they're looking at?
No, I think they've always been there, but what we're finding, the feedback we get is, hey, someone told me about this benefit and I didn't know it existed. And then it's kind of more of a word of mouth how people become aware of these benefits. So we have had a number of the users say, this is great, but there's all these other municipal benefits in my area that folks just aren't finding out about. And can you put them in there? So I think they've always been there. It's just perhaps not, as publicized as it could
Right.
be. Yeah.
That's good to know. Because yeah, I personally was completely unaware that any municipalities had specific benefits other than maybe assisting people in low-income housing to find that, put them on a waiting list.
Yeah. Some of them have like a small amount from what we've been seeing, and some actually have quite a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so it's unfortunate that they're there, but people just don't know that they're there.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions? Well, if nobody else has any questions, we will let Janet and Phaedra go back to their busy days, and everybody else go back to theirs as well.
I have a
Thank you,
quick
Vivian.
question.
Oh, sure,
Sorry.
Tina. No.
Since when are you in online?
Oh, let me put our website on there for you.
Is it like a few years or?
Oh, no, since 1986.
What?
Or sorry, do you mean our company or do you mean this particular website?
The specific website.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, misunderstood there. January 2022 is when the benefit wayfinder in this form has been there, and November of 2022 is when we launched publicly the disability benefit compass tool. So yeah, pretty recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I would go to the Canada website from the government, is it the same disability finder? Because there's a disability finder tool as well.
No, no. So that one is done just strictly has a questionnaire.
Okay.
And and so the difference between the government benefit finder and this one is that this one has the four different ways that you can search for benefits. And so it's kind of a little bit more robust in terms of the searching and the filtering. You're kind of limited, I think, when you do the benefit finder. Um, Everyone would have to fill out the whole questionnaire, whether it's here in the benefit wayfinder, I just want to see this subset of benefits. I'll click the starting points, or I just want to look at this one benefit. You don't have to kind of try to go find that on what government page it might be on. So really the idea of this one is that it's a one-stop shop with multiple different ways that you can search for benefits, essentially just to make life easier for people. But all of the links that you see in there all go to the actual government benefits site. So you can't apply to benefits through the benefit wayfinder, but you can link to the application on the government site directly instead of trying to how to search for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really to make life easier, essentially, is what the purpose of the tool is.
Okay. And all the links are all to other not-for-profit or as you offer one-on-one, right? So is that all government or not-for-profit organizations offering that one-on-one? And
Correct.
how long would be the wait time?
Yeah, it really depends. It almost have to just call in, or either email them or call them to see. Depending on what one-on-one support they require, it could vary from like instantly to maybe a 1 to 2 month wait list. So it really depends on what it is that they're asking for support on, and or their what the topic is. And like I said, the disability benefit compass was created as an alternative to a wait list, because a lot of folks are looking for that one-on-one support, especially with disability benefits. And so this doesn't take away one-on-one support, but both of these tools is really, if it's someone who has the capacity, the internet connection, the desire, and they feel up to doing it themselves, then they can get as much information as they can for themselves and try to apply themselves using these tools. But that's why we have the help button. It doesn't take away that one-on-one support. So if they get stuck at any point in the process, then they go, okay, I've gone as far as I can do myself. I think I need help now. And that's where they go to the help and then look for someone to help. So really these tools are designed, and they're in such a user-friendly and plain language way that if someone can do it themselves, that's fantastic. So that they don't end up on that wait list. But worst case scenario, if they do, then we're trying to redirect them to where they can go and ask for help. I hope
Okay,
that answers your question.
it does very absolutely. Thank you so much. Another question would be, so the forms are often tricky to fill out. So you would lead potential client to the form, right, as well through the website.
Yeah, so the disability benefit compass tool, that one is, if you compare the two, when you go to the how to apply section, the
Mm,
one in the benefit wayfinder will essentially give you the steps and link you directly to the government site where you can apply, and then you follow their instructions. The difference with the disability benefit compass is, because those are the key benefits that are that much more difficult for someone to apply to, it has that value added knowledge of the organizations we work with and the people with disabilities who've gone through the process, in the form of those tips for each stage, the frequently asked questions for each stage, those special key cards with information at each stage. That was essentially a brain dump, if you will, from those that we worked with, that said, okay, we've gone through this process, we work with the government, and at this step, this is the problems and the questions that people encounter at this step. So let's state them and give you the answer. And then when you get to the next step, okay, this is what can be something that people have trouble with or want to know about. So you'll notice that the disability benefit compass is a lot more information with the objective of helping someone get through that more difficult type of an application form.
Good.
Yeah.
And the website as well would be for people who are impaired visually or audio. Would it? Okay.
Yes, correct. So the it's been fully tested with screenwriters, screen readers, I should say, sorry. So people who are visually impaired that use a screen reader. As part of that designing of it, we tested it with people who were visually impaired and had them try it out with different types of screen readers. So yes, the answer is yes, it'll work for that. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's great because certainly CRA has never been known for its user friendliness as far as online access. It's more like going into a dark hole.
There's just so much there, right? It's like you don't know what you're looking for. It can be overwhelming. So yeah, we're hoping that this has made it easier for people to have kind of everything in one spot to filter on. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and enlightening us about these services. And we'll keep you posted or on our sites so that we can watch what's going on and make sure that we're using all the tools that you guys are working on. Thanks very much.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Linda and everyone. It's been our pleasure.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.